Brother Marines, we have returned again on this day to find that faction rules are leaner and cleaner in the new edition of Warhammer 40,000. Last week, we had a look at how to build an army in the new edition of Warhammer 40,000. One of the major choices you'll need to make after choosing which faction you like the most, of course, is what detachment rules you'll pick. These determine how your specific army performs, providing special rules and unique traits, as well as unique stratagems and enhancements. And you can see there's an army right there, the Imperial Fists. The index cards, released at the dawn of the new edition, will each come with one detachment, representing a common fighting style for a particular faction, and more will emerge as new codexes arrive and armies expand. There is one golden rule: every detachment must fit onto a single double-page spread. This means you'll never need to go leafing through an armful of rulebooks to find that key stratagem. You'll have your core rules, your data sheets, and 2 pages of unique rules, and you're good to go. That's not a lot to do. Remember, it's simplified, but not simple. On top of this, every faction gets an army ability, regardless of which detachment you're using. This represents the totemic aspect of that faction in war. So the Orcs get Wa, Tyranids get Synapse, the Astra Militarum get Orders, and the Space Marines get Oath of Moment. And here is the Adeptus Astartes army rule, Oath of Moment. If your army faction is Adeptus Astartes, at the start of your command phase, select one unit from your opponent's army until the start of your next command phase. Each time a model from your army with this ability makes an attack that targets that enemy unit, you can re-roll the hit roll and you can re-roll the wound roll. That's a lot of re-rolls. Re-rolls are significantly less common in the new edition, so the ability to single out one target per round for complete annihilation reinforces the Space Marines' reputation for disciplined, targeted hammer strikes. Exploring detachments. The Tyranids begin their adventures in the new edition as an invasion fleet focused on swift evolution and overwhelming offense. Got it on the second try. The Invasion Fleet's detachment rule is Hyper Adaptations, which provides 3 different abilities you can choose from each battle, depending on what you're fighting. And then we got some Tyranids here, they're High Fleet Leviathan, and there's like Blood Angels or whatever. And Swarming Instincts adds the Sustained Hits 1 ability to your attacks against infantry and swarms, landing an extra blow whenever you score a critical hit. That's the new term for rolling an unmodified 6 on your hit roll. This will be your go-to adaptation to handle an enemy horde or a stoic wall of elite infantry. The Tyranids Invasion Fleet Detachment Rule. Let's dive in. Hyper Adaptations. Every warrior organism in the Tyranid race is fashioned by the ineffable alien will of the hive mind. Their flesh and chitin is endlessly mutable, honed into whatever form will prove most lethal to the prey. At the start of the first battle round, select one of the following hyper adaptations to be active for Tyranids units from your army until the end of the battle. Swarming Instincts. Each time a Tyranid's model with this hyper-adaptation makes an attack that targets an enemy infantry or swarm unit, that attack has the Sustained Hits 1 ability. Hyper-aggression. Each time a Tyranid's model with this hyper-adaptation makes an attack that targets a monster enemy or a vehicle unit, that attack has the Lethal Hits ability. Wow, lethal hits. Hive Predators. Each time a Tyranid's model with this hyper-adaptation makes an attack that targets an enemy character unit, if critical hit is scored, that attack has the Precision ability. If your targets are tough vehicles and monsters, you can instead pick Hyper-Aggression and add lethal hits to your attacks against them, meaning you'll automatically wound on a critical hit, adapt, and overcome. For their army ability, the Tyranids can manipulate battle shock tests with Synapse and Shadow in the Warp, but We'll find out what those do when we have a closer look at the Tyranid faction next month. Stratagems and enhancements, and then we got some strategically enhanced Space Marines. Stratagems and enhancements are also now part of your detachment. In the previous edition, many players found it difficult to juggle and remember 2 or 3 dozen stratagems. Those days are gone. No detachment will contain more than 6 stratagems. Add that to a robust universal menu of 12 core stratagems, and there's now simply less to keep track of. Armor of Contempt returns as a stratagem for the Gladius Task Force, the first Space Marine detachment. Gladius Task Force, Battle Tactic Stratagem. The belligerency of the Adeptus Astartes, combined with their transhuman physiology, makes them unyielding foes to face. When your opponent's shooting phase, or the fight phase, just after an enemy unit has selected its targets. Target: one Adeptus Astartes unit from your army that was selected as a target of one or more of the attacking unit's attacks. Effect: until the end of this phase, each time an attack target of your unit worsens the armor penetration characteristic of that by 1. Enhancements replace the old relics and warlord traits, offering a unified list of unique upgrades for each detachment. Unlike stratagems, there are no core enhancements. Each one is tied to a specific detachment for a specific faction, tailored to your roster and abilities. These include refined personal war gear like artificer armor, or tactical talents that allow a commander to enhance the unit they're leading. Adeptus Astartes Gladius Task Force Enhancement Artificer Armor. Crafted by the finest artificers of the chapter, these ornately detailed suits of armor provide superior protective capabilities that rival even Terminator plate. All who set eyes upon the wearer know that an honored champion of the Imperium stands before them. Adeptus Astartes model only. The bearer has a save characteristic of 2+, and the Feel No Pain 5+ ability. But hold the phone. Hold the phone? Did we say leading units? Find out next week at Warhammer Community. That's right, find out next week. Many old unit-specific stratagems have become unit abilities instead, all of the flavor, none of the faff. Yeah.
Everyone go and check out Slave's channel.